greater detail when we get into lecture here in just a little bit. By the way, we finished module 2 today, right? So what are we going to be doing Tuesday?
Review.
Tuesday's going to be a review day, so what does that mean next Thursday is going to be?
Test.
Exam 2, okay? So we're going to do exam 2 next week, okay? So we're going to talk about this in much greater detail when we get into the blood here pretty quickly. But there are several what we call formed elements in our blood. So the formed elements include platelets. What's the function of platelets? So platelets is why most of you guys have a hard time getting enough blood.
Clotting.
So it causes clotting, okay? Then we've got erythrocytes, which are red blood cells, right? So erythrocytes' main function is to carry oxygen and carbon dioxide. And then we have several different white blood cells, okay? So the white blood cells that you will find in your blood include the 3 stain-loving ones. So we got basophils, eosinophils, neutrophils. Okay, there we go. So basophils kind of look like you took like a marble and you broke it up into a bunch of little pieces. Eosinophils are going to be typically 2 load, and neutrophils are going to be 3 to 4 load. Okay. And then we've got monocytes and lymphocytes, okay? So monocytes are you're gonna see one big purple blob surrounded by a bigger light purple blob, and then lymphocytes is gonna be just one giant dark purple blob, okay? So lymphocytes, monocytes, neutrophils, eosinophils, and basophils are white blood cells. We'll talk in greater detail when we talk about it in lecture, but they do different things within the body. So for example, right, you go into the doctor and say, I don't feel very good, right? I'm not feeling good. One of the things they might do right off the bat is draw some blood, right, and do CBC, right, complete blood cell count, right? So for example, if we draw your blood and we find that you have a high neutrophil count, this could tell us a lot about what potentially is going on with you versus monocytes versus lymphocytes. So there's a couple of different blood disorders. So one of them is polycythemia. So polycythemia is excessively high blood cell count, right? So if you had not enough red blood cells, what would this indicate? You have anemia, right? If you don't have enough white blood cells, what would this tell us?
Like leukemia or something?
Yeah, so one of 2 things. You either have like some type of, by the way, you're immunodeficient, so this could be caused by, for example, radiation exposure to radiation. So radiation poisoning would cause a low white blood cell count. Also, there's like some inherent genetic disorders. There was a famous movie that came out in the 1970s called The Boy in the Bubble, about a kid that didn't have a naturally occurring immune system. There's been a couple other movies about it that came out. It's a rare condition. And then there are, so for example, AIDS. So what is the difference? So what's AIDS, guys? Acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, where it's caused by untreated exposure to having HIV, right? Human immunodeficiency virus. So if you have HIV and you don't adequately treat it, you can lead to AIDS, which causes depleted immune system. Okay? What happens if you've got excessively high white blood cell count? You're either really, really sick, like massive infection, or you have leukemia, right? So we can tell, so blood sample and a urine sample so a urine sample is very non-invasive. It's whatever was recently in your blood is going to show up in your urine. And then if we don't get anything from there, then the next step is going to be we're going to take out blood, which is a relatively low invasive way to get a sneak peek at what's going on inside of your body, right? So if you had high lymphocyte count, that's going to tell us something different than a high basophil or monocyte or neutrophil or eosinophil count. Okay? So for the quiz on Tuesday, know the ABO blood typing system, and then I'll put like 1 or 2 questions about this on there. Know about that. Okay? So basically, all you need to know for the purposes of the exam or for the lab quiz is we have 2 broad types of white blood cells. We have So basically just know, like, monocyte, lymphocyte, basophil.
Like what they look like,
What they
or
look like.
okay.
Yeah, so
Do we need to know what they do, or?
We'll talk more about that when we get into the blood in lecture, but for the purposes of the lab, just basically know those 3 white blood cell types. So I'll ask you like 1 or 2 questions about them.
You said monocyte, lymphocyte?
Monocyte, lymphocyte, basophil.
And with blood, the antigen and antibodies.
Yes, and then the ABO blood type, yeah.
So
So,
endocrine.
huh?
No endocrine.
Not for the quiz, so the quiz is purely on the blood, right? So for the ABO, somebody with A antigen would have what type of blood?
B.
The A. So if they have B antigen, they would be B. AB would be, well, the AB would be B. So what happens if somebody's got A antibody? What blood type would that be? So A antibody would be type B blood, right? Type B antibody would be,
B or O, right? Is it?
so A, type A blood's got A antigen, B antibody. B blood has got B antigen and A antibody, right? So I could ask you which blood type has B antibody, that would be, or B antigen would be B. If I said which blood type's got A antibody, that would also be B, right? If I said it has both A and B antigen, that would be type AB. If I said which blood type has no antibody, that would also be type AB. If I said this blood type has got no antigens, that would be type O. Or if I said this blood type has got both A and B antibodies, that would also be type O. Right? I said this blood type has got A and B antigen and RH factor, that would be
AB plus
AB positive.
for positive.
So just study that, right? There's a ton of videos you can watch on YouTube about it that explain it in great detail.
So RH factor determines whether it's positive or negative. If it has it, it's positive.
Correct.
If it doesn't, it's negative.
Right, you either have RH factor or you do not have RH factor. So you're either positive for the factor or negative for the factor. Yeah. Groovy? Any questions? No? All right, guys. We'll see you Tuesday. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.